DuBois County Community Corrections finally has its new director. We'll tell you more. Plus, Carrie has this week's visit with our friends at the DuBois County Humane Society, and Tara Hope and Ed Evelair discuss Voices of Schnellville tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18th WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. Well, it's official, DuBois County Community Corrections will now move ahead with its new director. After a lengthy debate, the DuBois County Council voted 4-3 in favor of allowing DCCC to transfer just over $5,700 from its administrative assistance role to fund the salary of new director William Wells. Wells was originally hired back in June but held off on formally starting the job because he would have taken a pay cut from his most recent job as case manager and director of DuBois County Substance Abuse Services. Now, Judge Mark McConnell was on hand last night, and he told the council that DCCC is trying to be competitive with how it pays, but they are largely funded through state and federal grants, whereas the county is funded by taxpayers. That was countered by several members of the council who questioned why the Corrections Center wanted to make Wells one of the highest paid employees in the county, while other employees at the center were among the lowest paid in the county. McConnell stated those employees are paid in line with state statute. Of course, the council voted 4-3 against the idea of raising Wells' salary last month. Council President Greg Kendall, who voted in favor of Wells' raise both times, says for him it came down to more than just one salary.
It's not a matter to me that he's making so much more money than anybody else. It's a matter to me that we need to be bringing some of these people up more in line with his salary instead of bringing his down to where they are. Unfortunately, when you deal with the state funding and the courts, they have a tendency to pay people according to what they pay in the state, not what they're paying in smaller counties. So that's why the people in community corrections, some of them, and in the court systems, make more money than what the people are in the county.
The decision to raise Wells' salary drew the ire of Sheriff Donnie Lampert. Lampert called the council's decision a major injustice for his department and deputies. He also told the council that the decision made him lose faith in county government, and he threatened to file a lawsuit if something is not done to increase financial support for his department. Well, now that school is back in session, parents of Greater Jasper students are upset with some of the newly established bus routes and the amount of time that their kids are spending on the bus. Concerned parents told the Greater Jasper School Board last night that their children are being picked up too early and dropped off too late. Although most buses have been arriving and leaving on time, some parents stated the first students on the buses are being picked up at around 6:30 a.m. and the latest drop-offs have been at around 4:30 p.m. Greater Jasper Superintendent Dr. Tracy Lorai addressed the parents and school board to explain the corporation's bus policies. Lorai pointed out that one of the biggest factors has been school officials working to accommodate hundreds of requests made for changes in bus pickup and drop-off locations.
We accommodate requests for home, babysitters, daycare centers, after-school programs, mom's house, dad's house, grandma's, etc. You name it, we accommodate it, and we are providing it. We even accommodate families that choose to send their children to elementary schools well outside the proximity to their homes. All of these factors influence the capacity and the travel times that our buses have each day.
3 groups of parents were allowed to voice their concerns for the board last night. Lorai and the board assured the parents that all parties will continue working together to find the best possible solution. Now, Lorai says school officials are continuing to work through capacity and timing issues as well as tweaking travel patterns to make things more efficient. She says the corporation has also added shuttles, moved routes, and adjusted travel patterns. In the end, Lorai expects the changes to begin making a positive difference sometime within the next week. Prosecutors locally and statewide are urging state lawmakers to roll back looser drug sentences that have been in place for 2 years now. Up until 2013, the prison time frame for drug dealing offenses in Indiana was between 6 and 20 years, with some circumstances allowing sentences of up to 50 years. Recent revisions to the state's criminal code set the maximum drug dealing sentence at 12 years, and it now takes an extra aggravating factor such as dealing near a school or while armed to provoke a longer sentence. David Powell with the Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Council says many drug addicts don't want to be treated, and shorter sentences take away leverage from the justice system that could force them to go into treatment. Of course, these sentencing changes are being felt here in DuBois County as prosecutors work to sentence those arrested in connection with the recently completed Operation Double Trouble. The new sentencing guidelines went into effect after Operation Big Brother was wrapped up last year. Operation Big Brother defendants have been sentenced under the old guidelines. The changes have left DuBois County Chief Deputy Prosecutor Beth Sermersheim among those frustrated with the state.
Most drug dealing offenses in the past were Class B felonies, which were 6 to 20-year potential penalties. Now, a lot of them, there are ranges, but a lot of them are charged as level 5 felonies with penalties ranging from only 1 to 6 years. I hope that in the future the legislature will bring back the stiffer penalties for drug dealers.
Prosecutors are pushing to allow sentences up to 30 years if dealers are armed and working near schools. They also want longer sentences for fatal overdoses that can be linked to specific dealers. Meanwhile, Larry Landis is with the Indiana Public Defender Council. He argues the code revision was done to keep the state prison system from being overrun by drug offenders, thus leaving space for violent criminals. Landis says drug offenders took up 2/3 of prison beds statewide when the new criminal code went into effect. He says longer sentences would be a step backward, putting the state back where it was 2 years ago. And finally tonight, Governor Mike Pence has chosen a new head of the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. Earlier today, Pence announced that Carol Comer will be taking over as IDEM Commissioner. She'll start her new job on Friday. Comer replaces Tom Easterly, who is retiring after more than 10 years as the head of IDEM. Comer served as general counsel for IDEM before moving into the agency's chief of staff role. Pence says Comer will bring integrity and dedication to the job. Also, Pence announced that IDEM Deputy Chief of Staff Bruno Piggott will succeed Comer as IDEM's new chief of staff. All right, coming up after the break, Carrie's next with our friends at the DuBois County Humane Society, and later, more on this year's Voices of Schnellville. We're back after this.